right, welcome back to another episode of Demons and Gentlemen. I'm TattedAlpha, and to my right is
Greg.
Just Greg.
Just Greg.
Back at you with another episode. Do we want to go ahead and say, like every other episode, that we have an interesting one? I'm just fucking kidding.
Yeah. Interesting what?
Episode. They're all interesting.
Your neck's
remember?
bleeding,
It's
bro.
the
How am I supposed to take
I
you
don't give a
seriously?
shit.
Your neck's bleeding.
Dracula likes blood.
Did your girl get her lunch?
No.
Early dinner?
That's what happens when you...
Damn, I'm sorry. I
when
just
you
saw
get a brand
it.
new razor.
All right. My bad. Damn.
Anyways,
That shit caught me off guard. That thing was spewing.
put a little water on it.
That's gonna make it worse, playa.
Right.
Anyways,
All right. Don't forget, like, subscribe, follow, rate, drop some comments down below. We were curious to see what all you guys had to say for your comments for the last one. But this week's episode, we're talking about the hour between. That is the title. But to break that down, the witching hour. Everyone's favorite time of day and time of night.
yeah,
Them 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. thoughts that keep you up and drive you wild.
yeah. Well, it's the tossing and turning, the cold sweats, if you will. That's what I get. But that's just me.
I'm Dracula. All my sweats are cold.
Ugh, you're the worst, you know.
We're the best. It depends
Welcome
on
back
who you
out of the
get.
coffin, brother.
I gotta make my weekly appearances.
Yeah, I'm still so distracted by your neck. It's actually throwing me off.
Be all right.
I'm just seeing a little.
Little blood never hurt nobody.
I'm just a little weak stomach over here. A little blood made me squeamish.
I'm not gonna say what I was about to.
Yeah, no, it's cool, but nah, dude. Yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting topic to kind of talk about this week, just because. Really, who hasn't dealt with this, right?
I mean, I think we deal with it almost. Well, I don't know about you guys, but for me, nightly.
Nightly. Maybe you should get that fixed.
Well, I like to say, out of all my friends and family and everything, like I'm the only one that as soon as I hit the pillow, I'm wide the fuck awake. I could be falling asleep at the wheel driving home, for example, like that exhausted.
Yeah.
And as soon as I get home, go straight to bed, wide awake, thinking about everything and anything under the sun for no reason. Moon, sorry, Dracula doesn't like the sun.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I'm a little bit the opposite in that regard. As soon as I lay down, I'm out. But if something keeps me up, that's how you know it's pretty bad or I'm thinking a lot because I'm not asleep. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you said this earlier when we were eating just a minute ago. Was that you hate driving with me in the car after 9 p.m.
And it's after 8:30.
Yeah, you're right. And watching movies with me because I always fall asleep.
Grandpa G.
That's right. So I have no problem typically falling asleep, but I've been there. I've had my moments. A lot of mine are during the day, though. I deal with a lot of my stuff like during the day.
Don't get me wrong. I have my thoughts and wondering thoughts and, think about everything that I need to get done and whatnot throughout the day. But I don't know, man. For as long as I can remember, as soon as my head hits that pillow, no matter how bad I want to go to sleep, no matter how late it is and tired and exhausted I am from everything that I've been doing that day and that week or whatever, it's just that's when I get all my thinking done. That's when I get all my planning done and coordinating. And now it's just is what it is.
Yeah.
It's routine at this point. We talked about that a few episodes ago.
Right.
It's become routine after the many, many years of dealing with it. And, I function off of anywhere between 3 to 5 hours of sleep every night. So construction life,
Yeah.
the blue collar life will get you. You run off.
You said
of no
3 to
sleep.
5 hours?
I'd say that's probably my average. Yeah.
Wow.
Between how long it takes me to fall asleep.
I wish.
And waking up and down, being up and down all night throughout the night. It's 3 to 5 hours if I'm lucky. It's a good night.
That's insane, actually. I sleep anything under 5 hours, I'm cranky as a son of a bitch.
And I'm not cranky all the time, which is surprising.
No,
right?
you are.
No, I'm not
it all
cranky.
makes too much sense
I just
now.
don't like people. There's a difference.
See,
Y'all want to drag me out.
I am a person, though. So, like, when you say
I
you
don't
don't...
like people in masses, small doses in small groups.
Huh. Okay. I guess I can understand that.
And it's got to be chosen people. And if I don't just...
It's fine. No, I'm following you.
Yeah.
But no, so what was your most recent thing that you were like thinking about while you were tossing?
Oh well, last night, knowing that you got into town and everything, and trying to coordinate in my mind, the weekend festivities and getting these episodes done, and what I'm gonna say, how I'm gonna go about it, setting up the studio, just going through, and that's just a daisy chain effect of I'll start talking about podcast stuff to myself and trying to figure that out, and then that leads to, oh, I forgot, I've got this bill I gotta pay, and then this is coming up, and then okay, I got this many more payments on this, and then I got to do this, and then I just start going through my laundry list of everything. It's just a nightly occurrence of everything that you would normally think about during the day. I lay down at night and think about all that under the sun. Am I being a good friend? Am I a good partner? Am I a good son? Am I taking care of everything that I need to? And then I go through my work stresses, and then I go through my daily stresses, and then I go, it's just
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes I'm just like, shut the fuck up and go to sleep.
Yeah,
man.
I feel
It's
that.
3 a.m.
No, what was my most recent one here? Honestly, I think it was something stupid, because I was thinking of like it was like some bill that I had to pay,
Mm-hmm.
and I had remembered that it was the due date of the day that I had to pay it, and my mind was right. Like, I was still like thinking it was the previous day, but it was a new day. I was thinking it was due the day before than it actually was. So like, in my mind, something had happened, whether it was a dream or a thought or something, and it like sprung me up out of bed, and I'm like, shit, I gotta pay this. Forgot to pay it yesterday.
Always the worst.
And it was just like some random little tidbit thing that I was like, what the hell? And then I sat there and I thought about it. That sent me down into like some big spiral. Oh, I'm not good with my money. I'm not good with this. I need to just turn on auto pay. I'm a lazy fuck. I'm this, I'm that. And I was like really beating myself up, and I was tired, and it was the middle of the night. Something so small and something that you shouldn't even like lose sleep over. I lost plenty of sleep over it, and I was pissed.
Well, see, what I find interesting with it, and somewhat bizarre sometimes, is I would say majority of the time it's shit like that, right? But then there are those times where maybe you're going through some shit, or maybe you're dealing with some stuff, or you got some stresses at work or stresses at home, or what have you, and that's the stuff that's keeping you up. You're calm, cool, collected. You keep it together all day, and then you get home and you lay in that bed, and I'm not gonna sit here and say you're the most vulnerable, but you're your weakest version of yourself to some degree, because that's when everything fucking hits you.
Yeah.
You lay down, and then you have that inner confessional dialogue, and it's just those twilight confessions, as we like to call it. You're sitting there in the wee hours of the night, and you're confessing everything to yourself. Am I being a good person? Am I doing everything right? What can I do better? Why is this person, change the way that they interact with me, and blah blah blah, everything and anything, and then that spiral effect, I think, is
the worst.
It's the worst for sure, but I think it's kind of fascinating how it always tends to drive you crazy. It always tends to fucking like just. It's like an unpredictable twister or whatever. You have no idea where it's going to go. And you have no idea where the next thought's going to come from, and how that's going to lead you down another rabbit hole. And by the end of it, you've already in your head gone through 15 Alice in Wonderlands.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting concept. It's interesting. What's interesting is how it seems to be something relatable for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or your background. Everybody tends to deal with it in some form or fashion. Yeah,
everybody does. And I, recently, I think my biggest one that I've been thinking about a lot lately is, where did I go wrong? And like, that could mean anything. Like, I can apply that to multiple different like phases of my life. Like, one that I recently have been dabbling in is, I've been having a lot of dreams lately about like sports and about like my time playing ball a little bit. And I didn't play my senior year because of in college of some things. And I just like, in my mind, I was like, where did I go wrong? Did I handle that right? Like, did I cap off what was like a really cool thing for me, or something that I loved so much and spent so much of my time doing all my life, that I end it the way that I needed to end it? And like, I was thinking about that recently, and like, I got caught up thinking about that a lot. And I'm not going to say that I regret anything. Everything always happens for a reason and whatnot. At the same time, I do miss it. And it's one of those things I've been thinking about. But at the same time, you can take that and apply it to, failed relationships or just, life in general. And I would say recency, there's some things where I've been asking a lot of deeper and harder questions about, maybe where I went wrong, what I could do better.
Yeah, I think that question in and of itself is probably one of the more common questions that we tend to ask ourselves as individuals is, sometimes phrase it a little different, and where did we go wrong, or did I go about this the right way, or am I really the one that's at fault here? And it's that sense of applied pressure that we put on ourselves.
That's right.
And sometimes to a heavier degree in which maybe it's too much.
Yeah.
Not that we can't handle it, but sometimes it's good to have high standards and expectations and goals for yourself. Sometimes it's slightly unrealistic.
Yeah.
And then that is where that spiral comes into play that we were talking about, where you tend to lose yourself a little. You lose your sanity a little bit. You lose some of your composure and whatnot in the day-to-day. And then you tend to start to question things a little bit more on, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? And like that spiral effect. I mean, it's a fucking fickle bitch.
Yeah.
It'll get you every damn time. It's like your favorite slasher. Ghostface is coming.
It sure is coming, but no. Ass. Anyways, set me up that way.
Set him up for that one.
Yeah, you did.
Clip it.
Clip it. No, I will say, or not say, but I guess it's more of a question, is like when that stuff happens, like how do you handle it? Like how do you slow yourself down? Like what's your thing?
For me?
Yeah.
I think it varies. It depends on where I'm at in that moment in time, not specifically like that key moment. I think it's more so like in that moment in my life. Am I in a better overall like headspace? Because sometimes, I go through my phases where, it's been a good several months, and then I'm on that 1 week where that week is just testing me to no end. And, I think it all depends on the context and stuff in which and where I'm at in which I deal with it. But for the most part, I would say it goes back to what I brought up a couple episodes ago, where it's, I'll sit here and I have these thoughts nightly. Like this is an everyday thing for me, what we're talking about, and dealing with it and dealing with the what am I doing wrong or how can I be better and those things. I really just sit there, and after I have my moment of badgering myself and questioning myself and my sanity and everything, I finally have that moment where I'm like, I take a breath and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I beating myself down? I'm like, I need to pick myself back up. I need to, dust my fucking self off and be like, essentially, like I said the other episode, get the fuck over it. Like, you don't care because you're sitting here, you're harping on it and you're overthinking about it. You're just putting yourself in this headspace. You're putting yourself in this mindset to where you're already setting yourself up for failure. You're already knocking yourself down before you get going. And then it's just a matter of just picking myself back up and being like, look, you've made it through the worst shit. You've dealt with a lot of bad stuff, and you've had a lot of good things happen, and you're going to continue to have a lot of good things happen. It doesn't mean it's not going to be an up and down roller coaster throughout the process, but the ups and downs and everything are just getting you to that mountaintop where it's going to be so much more worth it in the end. And I just realized that I'm continuing to grow and learn and develop, and I may not be my best self yet, but I am far better than I used to be. So it doesn't matter what I tend to tell myself. It's just brush it off and keep going.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
What about you?
Yeah, no, I do a few different things. I mean, I guess it just depends on the type of day.
Mm-hmm. That's a big driving factor, to be honest. In where you're at with your own self.
I do a few different things. So like I would say, obviously, I really lean into that, fitness space a lot. That's kind of, like my 2 hours a day where I do a lot of this. But the one thing about, when I'm working out is I have to focus on it. if I want to like actually allow it to be effective. So I'm not doing a lot of like
on your workout, you mean?
Yeah, on my workout. Like I'm not doing an actual like a lot of like I guess tactful thinking.
So you're doing a lot of mental training when you're in a gym versus just physical training.
That's right. And then I do, when I'm in, like, I think where I do a lot of my thinking is the sauna. I sauna pretty regularly. And when I'm in there, I tend to not, listen to music or anything. I might listen to a podcast or something every now and again as I'm chilling. But most of the time I'm in there just thinking, because the sauna at my gym, fun fact, dry heat sauna, so it's a little bit different from the infrared saunas. It gets things a lot hotter, so having the earbuds in my ears, they'll actually get hot and start burning my ears. So I tend to go in there and I just think, like I just clear my head, and kind of that's where I like go through all of the things that are going on around me. How can I be better? What can I do better? What's been kind of free floating in there maybe that week or that day or something like that. I also think, community, laughter, who you surround yourself with is important. Mm-hmm. I think that always really helps me, kind of clear my head, and I love making other people laugh. I think that's a really, big thing. I put a lot of energy into it because you never know what other people are going through. So I really think that just, putting effort into trying to help somebody feel a little bit better is awesome. I do that all the time. But I would say when I journal, it just depends. If I'm having a harder week where I'm like sad or something like that, I can do a few different things. One thing is I'll, use like a chat GPT or something to help me come up with a prompt and ask me a bunch of questions. Or I write bulleted lists, or I write like paragraphs, kind of like a story. But oftentimes when my mind is cluttered, and I can't seem to narrow down what's happening, I'll like write like songs in my journal. And it's just like somehow, some way I can find the words through that. Now, I have no affiliation to music at all. I listen to a lot of different music or anything like that, but I'll just write stuff down. It just kind of helps me get the thoughts out.
Yeah.
So it's just a few different things that I do, but those work for me pretty well.
I think, which kind of piggybacks off the question that you asked me, and a little bit of that, which was one of my topics and stuff that I wanted to talk about, is masks and mirrors. But with masks and mirrors and everything, I kind of wanted to ask you guys that are listening and watching, you guys probably more often than not deal with this as well. So my question for you is, how do you deal with the masks and the mirrors, the many different faces and masks that you have to put on for yourself, not just around other people, but more so for yourself, to deal with the thoughts and the witching hour, and, trying to be the gentleman amongst all the demons, like we talk about every episode. And then when you look yourself in the mirror, how much closer are you to being that person that you want to be? I'd like for you guys to drop some comments down below. You could do it anonymously as well. We don't need to, put all your dirty laundry out there and call you out, but I want to ask you the same thing, and then I'll go ahead and answer it too, is the masks and the mirrors and everything like that. We tend to explain it a little bit more, we tend to, when we're sitting there and we're having all these thoughts and we're conflicted with ourselves and stuff, we hide behind these masks. Mm-hmm. And not so much in social settings, but like I said, in our 3 a.m. twilight zone thoughts, mm-hmm. we hide behind these masks, and then we go and we face ourselves in the mirror every day and things like that. Obviously, we always want to continue to grow and develop. So, it's kind of, we're getting to where we want to be is generally the generalized answer. But with everything that you deal with on a daily basis and all the challenges and stuff, how do you feel you have done in terms of dealing with the masks that you portray to yourself versus who you see in the mirror?
Yeah, honestly, they've changed a bit over time. I used to kind of abide by this phrase in the past where, if you're okay with who you see in the mirror, then be happy in your life. And I hit a point where I wasn't anymore. And I was kind of using that as a tool to cover up poor behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And that was how I would justify it to myself, and it was me being naive. And I'm sure everybody goes through, different phases in their lives, but, my 20s, I had a lot of fun, but I also did a lot of poor things, but I also did a lot of good in that time too. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a horrible human. I definitely made my mistakes like
Majority.
with the majority, but
Learn the lessons the hard way.
You got to learn them, and then you got to move on from them, and, I had to pivot. So, one thing I think with the majority of my life that I've done is I was constantly looking for a way to survive. And what was happening was I was not processing all of that stuff that sat underneath the surface. It was all there. It was all driving my thoughts and my behaviors, and those were the things that were, bothering me. But what was keeping me up at night was my behaviors.
Mm-hmm. Your actions.
My actions in the moment. Because really what was happening is I think it plays into our name quite well, is where, we said in our very first episode where I may appear as
behind the demon.
Yeah, I appear as the gentleman, but I can oftentimes act like the demon. There were times in my life where I was running rampant with poor behavior. And now I've took a very hard pivot and have moved in a different direction. And so to some degree, I would say the mask that I have, I'm not changing it. I'm keeping it the same. My actions are just changing. So that way this mask can actually reflect what I want it to reflect rather than what it was before. So I think that's probably the best answer that I can give, to that.
Well, I think you did a pretty good job of covering that, so I don't really go too much into what you said. I'll just go ahead and answer it for me. And we've been boys for a long time, but I don't even think I've ever really voiced this to you in maybe this way or even at all. But us being boys and everything for a long time, if you've seen my changes, and I'll first talk about my masks, as I would call it, as I was a chameleon of sorts, so to speak.
To say, yeah.
And just we'll touch on it in the base level of, he's made the comment, I don't remember which episode it was, but you made the comment about how I can pull off any style and everything like that. And for a lot of years,
of many genres,
I had many different genres, many different styles and lifestyle choices and things. The Southern country kid and the Hollister kid and preppy boy and everything. And then now I've kind of, settled into the alternative fashion statement and choices and stuff. But I think through all of that, it was more so just, being a chameleon, so to speak, was more so just me trying to cover up and fit in, cover up everything that I was dealing with and hide everything that I was having, essentially an identity crisis, being lost with everything that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to be the chameleon and fit in and create this false narrative in my head that, I am this person instead of the person that's, struggling and dealing with X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'd look in the mirror, and every time I'd look in the mirror, I'm just like, that's not who you are. You are the furthest from who you want to be and who you actually are day in and day out. And then I would struggle with it. And then, I'd go through the phase of being the preppy one, and then I went from the preppy one to the country looking kid, and then I went from that to, then I started getting tattoos and everything, and then I started playing onto that, and then now here we are. And then I think I've finally gotten to the point to where I'm more so like my truest self. Obviously, I still have much to learn and still have much growing to do and things like that, but I don't feel as though I'm struggling with the masks that I'm trying to put on. I feel like I am who my mask is. I'm not hiding behind something. obviously when I look in the mirror, like I mentioned a little bit ago, is, you know, we're all going to have that generalized answer of you're better than where you were, but, you know, there's still more that you want to do and achieve, and there's more growth to be had. So that's going to always ring true. It's never going to change or waver when you're talking about that answer. But when I look in the mirror now, I feel more of a sense of pride and acceptance for who I am versus trying to find who's in that mirror and figure it out, you know, whereas before it was just I'd look in the mirror and I felt lost all over again. So it's interesting to think about, you know, sitting there and voicing that is because, you know, I think we all can sit there and tend to become a chameleon in a lot of situations. And it's not just in the sense of talking about masks and mirrors. I think we all become a chameleon in a sense, even to ourselves with our own thoughts, because we allow so much to go on up here that we sometimes allow ourselves to get a little lost in the chaos of it all.
Yeah.
That we lose a little bit of focus and a little bit of sight of what's real and what's important.
Right.
You know, what friendships are real, what, you know, the reality of the situations that we're in, whether it's good or bad, or you're having money troubles and things like that. You know, it doesn't always have to be negative stuff. It doesn't always have to be positive stuff. It could be a little bit of both. But I think we just tend to lose a little bit of sight with all the chaos and the noise that we allow in. And that's really all it is.
Yeah.
It's what we allow in, what we allow ourselves to think and believe, which is, you know, probably the easiest and also the most difficult thing that we deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know recently, like, speaking about, like, that mask piece is I just had, like, a little bit of an identity crisis. Like, that's kind of what I went through. I think that was the main driver of everything, because really, and what I mean by that is I didn't not appreciate who I was. What I valued changed.
Yeah.
And when those things changed, I started seeing my behaviors change, and like the way that I thought around certain things change. Doesn't mean that what I valued before I still don't value. It just means that they're not in my top 10 priorities right now. So really what happened is those things shifted. And I just started valuing a bunch of other different things. So I was like, yeah, I really need to kind of hone in on this and get it together.
I think that brings up a good little point and everything. And we're talking about the witching hour and the hour between, you know, essentially that being the space and time when the demons stir but the gentlemen reflect. And that my point for that being is, you know, you talk about the changes in your attitude in a sense, is I think we need to challenge ourselves in these, especially these witching hour thoughts. Challenge our own selves, and you can even challenge your close ones and stuff as well. Is what questions are you asking yourselves? Are you asking yourself the right question?
Yeah.
You know, challenge yourself to make the changes. So you ask yourselves the right questions, and you challenge yourself in a way that it's going to push you. Us men love a good competition, so, you know, make it a competition, you know, where you'll actually do it and compete, and challenge yourself with the questions that you're asking to get results, to make changes, and to make the efforts in the areas in which you want to make the efforts. And, you know, I feel like sometimes we fall into this void of, we say we want to be better or do better, for example, and then we just hide behind that for a long time and don't actually make the efforts and changes that we need to. So challenge yourself, change the questions, change the narrative, and actually make the strides and efforts to do the things that you want, and you confess to yourself, but you just, maybe you're too scared to do it. Maybe you don't know how to make the first step, whatever the case may be. The only thing holding you back and the only person holding you back is yourself. Like I said, we've learned a lot of lessons the hard way, and I will continue to learn the hard way. So I'm speaking from experience, so you can believe me.
Yeah. No, I think that's really interesting, actually. It's reflection's, you know, a pretty important thing. Spend a lot of time doing it these days. I, you know, find that it actually is really helpful to take that time each day whenever you get that lull or that break in your day to actually reflect on something. Are you seeing that too?
The fucking gnats driving me wild, bro.
Yeah, I see it floating around.
And I don't boing, smack the fucking mic and everybody's ears ring.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a
It's literally,
gentleman,
it's
but the demon in me is wanting to go off.
It's literally living around your lips right now.
Know. I smell good.
Yeah, no, but I don't even remember where I was at.
You're in the studio, guy.
Well, I knew that, but I don't even remember what I was saying because got caught off by that gnat. First the blood, now the gnat.
The difference in challenging yourself with how you ask the questions and change your thoughts on it.
Yeah. So again, the reflection piece is important. What I would say is that internal dialogue, and when you're talking to yourself, what I try to avoid are the what and the why questions. Mm-hmm. Is when you ask yourself, like, why am I doing something this way? To me, that just sounds really negative. You're putting yourself down. Like, I'm not saying that like we're not tough enough to handle it if it ever comes up to where we have to ask that sort of a question, right? At the same time, it's also how you ask things. It's the tone. It's
how you talk to yourself.
How do you talk? Yeah.
How you talk to those around you.
Exactly.
It's all relative. It's all important.
Exactly.
And it all carries weight too. That's the big thing. How you talk to those close to you. Just like, look at it like you're at work. Your boss walks in, asks you a question, even asks you how things are going, whatever. There's a certain way that you're going to talk to your boss because there's, one, a level of respect there. Two, maybe there's also a little bit of, fear, and this person holds the power to change the course of my life, right? But there's a generalized, we all do it when that situation is presented to us and how we communicate with that person. Mm-hmm. You got to be mindful in how you communicate with those close to you, and especially yourselves. These witching hour thoughts can be brutal.
They have been brutal.
The conversations and how the tones can be set can also be brutal.
Yeah, definitely brutal. I've been there,
I beat myself up one side and down the other more times than I can count with those late night combos, and sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes you need to be a little bit more harsh and stern with yourself, but it's all in timing, and it's all in relevance. Can you handle it in that moment? Are you strong enough to handle it in that moment, or are you a little bit more down? Are you a little bit more weaker? Do you need a little bit more uplifting before you can be so stern?
Yeah.
We're our own worst critic, obviously, when it comes to all this.
Oh, I know that I am.
I've heard with the thoughts. We've had many a conversation over the years about how we beat ourselves up and stuff between you and me,
but we're much better though.
Well, if you look at us, not just physically, because God, we have grown up and become more handsome. No, but if you looked at us 15 years ago when we first met, and you had a conversation with us,
fine wine, sir.
Fine wine. I'm still aging, my friend.
That's what I'm saying.
Dracula,
fine wine,
just continues to develop with time.
Amen.
If you looked at us and had a conversation,
nice
with
little
us
30-year-old bottle.
30-year-old
bottle of aged fine wine, sir. Seasoned fine wine. You people don't want their wine seasoned.
No, but I
the
am
bottles
I
aged.
am seasonal. I like the fall and winter. I like the cold months.
Anyways, me too. Actually, I prefer fall. It's my time.
Don't get me wrong. Summer is the time to ride, but I just hate how much I sweat.
Now that I'm in my 30s, I don't even want to talk about sweat. I'd be sweating in places I never thought that was imaginable. But anyways,
my crevices got crevices.
They do. Don't even get me started. I could just sit down like right now. I'm serving up a half scoop of gelato in between my legs.
I need a new pair of knickers.
What? Oh, yes. I do need a new pair. New pair of drawers.
Oh, drawers? Okay. I need a new pair of knickers.
Yeah. No, I
threw you off with that one, huh?
Yeah.
Got his ass.
Speechless.
Twice, one episode.
Speechless. Cue up Dan and Shay. Anyways, no. Yeah, no, you got me.
He's fucking... Clip it.
No, you got me. No, I'm going to let you bring us home. I can't even focus right now.
Well, I think we say all that to say that obviously we're gonna sit here, we're gonna have these thoughts. Sometimes you might have these thoughts throughout the day. You might not. More often than not, you're gonna sit here and you're gonna conversate and have these inner dialogues with yourself at night when you lay that head on the pillow. And we're just challenging you to really consider the questions that you're asking yourself. Consider the construct in which you're having these conversations essentially with yourself. And then when you carry that over into the mirror, challenge yourself to actually make the changes, make the strides, do the things that you need to do to put away the masks and, accept who you are and who you want to be. And then what do you need to do to continue down that path?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think this is in all aspects. I think essentially if you want to bring everything together and tie it all as one, we're all down our own path. We're all down a path to try and grow and be a better gentleman, if we want to play on the name. And your demons are going to be there. The demon are going to play a factor. They're going to surprise you out of nowhere. They're going to drag you down and try and keep you down. But you just got to continue down your path. You got to remind yourself of what's important. You got to remind yourself of your whys. And, like we talk about a lot and he brings up a lot, you got to keep the people that matter close, because those are going to be the people. I promise you can't do it all by yourself. And what little bit you can do by yourself, sometimes it'd be a whole lot easier if you just let some other people in. We know from experience. But, if you just continue to push and keep one foot in front of the other, I mean, there are times when it feels like that one foot in front of the other is going to walk you right off the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, maybe there's a nice soft, foam pit down at the bottom of that cliff.
One could only hope. I know I only really hope that there's one at the end. When I go and jump off.
I'm not worried.
Anyways.
I'm not worried about falling. It's that last 2 feet that gets you.
Every time.
But we challenge you guys to take a good look in the mirror and really focus on what is important and what you need to do to continue, because we'd like to hear from all you guys. We want to keep you guys around, and we don't want you to fall into some of the same traps that we set our own selves up for. And I promise you, it's never that bad. It's never that deep. It's just a moment in time. So with that being said, take a look at the mirror. Tell us about your masks.
Yeah, and if you can't find the bottom, beat the shit out of the sides. Exactly that. It's never that deep. Is it? Or is it not?
But we'll see you guys in the next one. Y'all take care. Don't do anything that we wouldn't do.
Later,
and
Gator.
Good luck.